In just over a week, we will be dusting off our Seder plates, getting Haggadot out from the basement, chopping apples for charoset, getting our hands dirty molding matzah balls, and getting our singing voices ready for Dayenu. Passover is almost here. For me, this is my favorite Jewish holiday. I love the songs, the food, the story, and most of all, I love the questions. In my family, the questions would begin before anything else. Who here knows what the word Seder means? My grandfather would ask, and each of us kids would raise our hands to answer. It means order. We were always prepared for that one. A little bit of what I think of as Passover trivia would continue throughout the Seder. What does karpas represent? Why do we eat matzah? As my cousins and I grew older, the trivia turned into deeper questions. What would a world with more freedom look like? Of course, we're all likely familiar with the most famous questions of the Seder, the 4 questions. Who here is responsible for reciting the 4 questions at your Seder this year? Are you ready? The 4 questions are what prepares us for telling the story. We invite, usually, the youngest person at the Seder to recite the 4 questions to get us thinking about why this night is different from all other nights. This moment reminds us that we are responsible for asking over and over each year why we engage in these rituals. There is another question moment in the Seder that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with, though. That moment is the 4 children. Let's refresh our memories. During the Magid, the storytelling section of the Seder, we learn about the 4 children of the Passover Seder. The Chacham, the wise one, the Rasha, the wicked one, the Tam, the simple one, and a No Yodea Lishol, the one who doesn't know how to ask. The first 3 each ask a question, and we are taught how we should respond to them. The wise one says, "What are these rules, laws, and customs that God has commanded to us?" To this child, we are taught to explain all the laws of Passover. The wicked one says, "What is the meaning of this service to you?" The rabbis teach that by saying, "What is this to you?" he excludes himself from the community. And if this child were in Egypt, he would not have been freed. The simple one says, "What is this?" We are told to teach this child that with a strong hand, God brought us out of Egypt. And of course, the last one does not know how to ask. For this child, we are told to begin for them and teach the story of the Israelites being brought out of Egypt. The part of the story of the 4 children that I don't really like is how each child is defined by how they ask a single question. Really? Why should a genuine question like the one the Rasha asks get them defined as wicked? And aren't each of us more than just wise, wicked, or simple? Sometimes I feel like the wicked child, challenging and questioning or pushing back against the norm. Sometimes I feel like the wise child, knowing the answer to a question or having something I think is insightful to say. Sometimes I feel like the simple child, asking what I think is maybe a silly question. And sometimes I feel like the one who doesn't know how to ask, so confused or unsure that I'm not even able to formulate a question. I think each of us is more than just one question we ask. What I do like about the 4 children, and what I think is really valuable that we can learn from this part of the Seder, is how it emphasizes asking questions. We are told about the different types of children at the Seder, not based on how they answer a question or what response they have to the Passover rituals, but by how they ask a question. It's not about their ability to get the trivia answers right, but to bring curiosity as they learn about the story of Passover and the rituals of the Seder. It's about the child's willingness to ask, to engage with the story, and to ask even what might feel like a silly question. Each child shares their unique wisdom through their curiosity. And for the child who doesn't know how to ask, it's up to the adults in the room to listen, to nurture children's questions, and set an example of curiosity and questioning. The deep and complicated story and messages of Passover call on all of us to bring curiosity and questions to our celebrations. What does the story have to teach us about our responsibilities in the world today? What does it mean to say next year in Jerusalem? What freedoms are we celebrating? What freedoms are we still fighting for? This Passover, may we nurture an environment of questioning at our Seder tables. May we encourage people of all ages to ask the questions that are on their minds without judgment. May we bring curiosity about what the story of Passover has to teach us, asking both new questions and the same old ones that we ask every year. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so.